Hello everyone, my name is Nurul Faraizati Suharto Minti Abdullah and my metric number is BB22160962. So today we are tackling an important and complex question. Is it morally acceptable to buy and sell pollution rights? Let's dive in and break it down into a few key points. First, let's define pollution right. Basically, pollution right or emission permit allow companies to emit a certain amount of pollutants. Through a regulated market, companies can buy and sell these permits, setting up a cap and trade system. The idea is to limit total pollution while giving companies flexibility to meet their target in the most cost-effective way. So, why would people think this is a good idea? There are some solid arguments in favor of pollution right trading. For one, efficiency. Emission trading lets companies with lower costs to reduce pollution sell their permit to companies with higher reduction costs. This creates a financial incentive to reduce pollution in the most affordable way. Another point is economic flexibility. Not every company is in the same position to cut emissions, and trading allows business to find the approach that best fits their circumstance. Instead of forcing every company into the same mold, it provides options. But it's not all positive. There are some valid ethical concerns as well. First, the moral issue of pollution as a tradable commodity. Critics argue that buying pollution right could create a license to pollute mentality. The argument is that if you can pay to pollute, does that make it okay? From this perspective, pollution trading might normalize pollution rather than discourage it. Then, there's the issue of environmental justice. Pollution right trading might allow companies to concentrate pollution in certain areas, often economically disadvantaged communities. These communities may already face a higher burden of pollution and could suffer further under such a system. So, there is an ethical question about fairness and whether pollution trading exacerbates inequality. Finally is effectiveness. Some argue that this system don't always lead to meaningful reduction in pollution. If companies can just buy cheap permits instead of investing in cleaner practice, they might not be motivated to actually cut emission, and the environmental benefit is lost. Now, let's look at some ethical frameworks to understand this argument better. A utilitarian perspective might focus on the overall outcome. Does this system lead to less pollution and a healthier planet? If yes, then a utilitarian would likely support it. In contrast, a deontological perspective would argue that pollution is wrong in itself. Regardless of the outcome, from this angle, trading pollution right could be seen as morally wrong, as it essentially permits harmful action. Then, there's the environmental justice perspective, which emphasizes fairness and equality. If the trading system harms disadvantaged communities more than others, this perspective would argue it's unethical. First, we have the European Union Emission Trading System, or EU ETS, which is one of the largest and oldest carbon market in the world. Launched in 2005, the EU ETS covers industries like power generation, manufacturing, and aviation within Europe. It set a cap on the total emission allowed each year and decreases this cap over time to reduce overall emissions. By limiting supply, the system encourages companies to either reduce their emission or purchase additional permits if they exceed their limits. Overall, the EU ETS has been fairly successful, with the EU seeing a significant drop in emission from sector covered by the system. However, critics argue that the price of permits has sometimes been too low, making it cheaper for companies to buy permits rather than invest in reducing pollution. Our second case study is California's Cap and Trade program, which began in 2013. California set ambitious climate goals, aiming to cut its emission to 40% below 1990 level by 2030. The program covers large industrial facilities, electricity provider, and fuel distributor. Similar to the EU ETS, California program sets a cap that declines over time. The program has achieved some success in reducing greenhouse gas emission and generating funds, which California invests in renewable energy projects, clean transportation, and pollution reduction in disadvantaged communities. However, some concerns remain. Environmental justice advocates argue that cap and trade may disproportionately affect low-income neighborhoods that are located near industrial sites, as companies can choose to purchase credit instead of actually reducing local emissions. These case studies highlight both the potential and the limitation of pollution right trading system. While they have helped reduce emission, each program faces challenges around fairness and effectiveness. Ultimately, the success of this system depends on carefully setting caps, ensuring fair pricing of permits, and addressing the need of all communities affected by pollution. As we come to the conclusion of our discussion on pollution rights trading, let's reflect on what we have covered. This topic is complex, involving both practical and ethical dimensions. We started by defining pollution right and explaining how cap and trade system work. Essentially, this system set a cap on emissions and allow companies to buy or sell permits within that cap. The primary goal is to reduce pollution in a cost-effective way, while encouraging business to innovate and improve their environmental practice. We then look at arguments both for and against pollution right trading. Supporters argue that it's an efficient, flexible system that can help reduce overall emissions. By putting a price on pollution, companies are motivated to find the most affordable and effective way to cut back on emissions, often leading to new green technologies and cleaner operation. On the other hand, critics raise serious moral and practical concerns. For one, treating pollution as something that can be bought and sold can seem morally questionable. Does it imply that it's okay to pollute if you can afford it? Additionally, there's the issue of environmental justice. This system can sometimes lead to concentrate pollution in disadvantaged communities, raising ethical concerns about fairness and equity. Through different ethical lenses, we saw how pollution right trading can be viewed differently. A utilitarian perspective may focus on the benefit, such as overall emission reduction, while a deontological perspective questions the morality of pollution itself, regardless of outcome. Meanwhile, an environmental justice view highlights the importance of fairness and protecting vulnerable communities. The case study we explore, like the European Union emission trading system and California Cap and Trade program, show us both the success and challenges of this system. This program have achieved measurable reduction in emissions but have also faced criticism, especially around equity and effectiveness. So, is it morally acceptable to buy and sell pollution right? There is no easy answer. While pollution right trading can offer a practical solution to a difficult problem, it also raises important ethical questions. The key may lie in how these systems are designed and implemented. setting stricter caps, ensuring fair pricing for permits, and addressing the impact on all communities, especially those most affected by pollution. Ultimately, whether or not we consider it morally acceptable depends on our values and the balance we strike between environmental, economic, and social priorities. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of pollution right trading. I hope this presentation has provided you with a clear understanding of the issue and perspective involved.